Ladies and gentlemen of the Dota 2 world, and perhaps another world, the NBA. This is Crystal's Chronicle, and today I have a very unique, special episode where I compare Stephen Curry from the NBA towards Dota 2's finest, the beloved, self-proclaimed king, Sumail from Evil Geniuses. The point of this video is to look at Sumail and compare him to another great superstar in the NBA. Although it's a different sport, they both have ups and downs, and we're able to analyze these ups and downs. Perhaps we can see the changes of Sumail and try to explain it at a deeper level. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't subscribed already, hit that subscribe button, and let's get into this video. So let's begin with Sumail's story way back. A long time ago, once upon a time, there was a young lad from Pakistan who sells his bicycle so he could go to the net cafes and play Dota. He became hooked in Pakistan and his parents were very against him. They thought he should study instead of playing video games. Despite the odds being against him, despite the ratio of players becoming successful at a career, especially financially, being so low, Sumail never gave up and he still stuck to Dota. He believed that maybe his passion, his drive to play this game as a sport, as a professional, would one day lead him to a path of success, to a path to provide money for his family. So, little Sumail and his passion grew so far, so out of control that he did everything he could to play Dota. In fact, being in Pakistan, he rose in MMR. He got recognized by a Western team. This Western team would be known as Evil Geniuses. So Evil Geniuses decided to recruit Sumail. But at that time, Evil Geniuses were desperate for a mid laner, a core player, a carry player, and they chose Sumail, a guy that no one knows about, all the way across the Pacific Ocean, past Europe, past the Middle East, past Egypt, past all these other great nations, towards Pakistan, a small nation near India. Okay, fantastic. So they recruit Sumail, bring him aboard. And guess what happens? Boom, in an instant, the Dota world is shocked that Sumail comes out of nowhere. A little 15-year-old kid who loves Dota comes into the scene and wins the DAC of 2015, one of the biggest tournaments in Dota. Then, a few months later, Evil Geniuses would take Sumail as their core, as their main guy, their go-to guy, and win the International 2015. Fantastic, beautiful story. But that's just the beginning. This is just the beginning of Sumail. Now let's go to the NBA, the National Basketball Association. We see Stephen Curry. Now Stephen Curry has a very similar story. When he was a younger guy, he was a skinny dude, very short guy. He would shoot the ball a lot, but every team, every college team thought that he would not be a very good player, like a superstar level player in their team in the NBA. So most people didn't even want to recruit him. In fact, in college, most teams did not offer him a scholarship. So Stephen Curry had to go to a local team in Davidson, in his local state, and perform. Once he performed decently well, the NBA team started to glimpse at him. But still, it was not all that. You see, later on when he would enter the league, he would get a lot of injuries as well, and he had to change his form and everything. He had to work so hard. He had to work extremely hard. But then, just a few years later, Stephen Curry would become the MVP, the most valuable player of the entire game, based on his shooting and ball handling. Then, during that same year, he would lead the Golden State Warriors to an NBA championship. Now, the very interesting thing about both Stephen Curry and Sumail is that, yeah, both entered their game, their league as a professional, and very quickly, in a surprising turn, both become champions relatively quick. Their success comes out of nowhere. It shocks the world. In fact, in 2015, both Stephen Curry and Sumail win the championship. Sumail wins TI5 and Stephen Curry wins the NBA Finals in 2015. Pretty amazing, huh? But let's not stop there. In fact, the story goes far more in depth. You see, the next part of the saga comes to the downfall. Both Sumail and Stephen Curry had attained some sort of glory, but they also, some kind of devilish act, something dark entered their soul. You see, both won a championship, but at the same time, both became cocky and arrogant. They had a disgusting personality towards their inner self. This cockiness, this arrogance, eventually takes control, full control of both of these two players.
Until I have 6 rings.
6 rings.
6 rings. I'm going for the Michael Jordan, man.
As we clearly see now, Sumail thinks he wants to be Michael Jordan of Dota, which is absolutely absurd. Michael Jordan never lost, while Sumail has. Nevertheless, Sumail becomes so arrogant, so cocky, that he kind of loses the sight of himself, the innocence that he once brought to the game. You see, to this day, Sumail has not repeated as a TI champion because, to be honest, it's his arrogance, his cockiness that made him wither away. As a matter of fact, due to his arrogance, his team, his captain broke apart. PPD was forced to leave because Sumail did not like him.
Oftentimes people would call you cocky.
Has he grown, honestly?
Yeah, that's...
I think he's still pretty cocky.
What do you think is the biggest thing standing between you and the Aegis?
Our tour.
I didn't want to play with him because I'm an angry teenager, right? And how I didn't practice enough, which is true. I'm just taking his shit. And I'm like, still taking it for 4 months. I have no fucking issue with it. Then he just doesn't stop, you know? Like, someone keeps poking you, at one point you're gonna explode.
When he was a 15-year-old, he would never have done that. But once he became a champion, his attitude, his personality changed. Likewise, on the other perspective of the story, let's go towards the NBA and Stephen Curry. You see, Stephen Curry, just like Sumail, after winning the NBA championship, after becoming back-to-back MVP, Stephen Curry would dance on his opponent. He would shoot a three-pointer without even seeing it go in, turn around and head back. That's how much of an arrogant player he was. He really became a jerk.
For a season high 18 on the fly. Curry, he was running back on defense as he released the ball. He knew it was going in.
The third part of this story looks at the ongoing change. How do these players evolve from their previous state of mind? In Sumail's perspective, Sumail's point of view, I don't know if you guys watch him as closely, but he is learning to let go of his arrogance. He is learning to humble himself. You see, after TI5 he won, right? TI6, Evil Geniuses came in 3rd. And then after that, TI7, Evil Geniuses came in 9th to 12th place. You can notice, based on the previous years, that Evil Geniuses' results, their performance in big games and big stages, was going down. It was at a negative trend. However, recently, Sumail has learned to be a better human being. He's learning that being arrogant is not good. Being so cocky and thinking you're the best of the world is not good. You have to respect other players. Give other people their due diligence. At the same time, you can grow as a person and as a player. This is clearly why, not just at a Dota level, at a game analysis level, but as a psychoanalytical level. This is why Sumail very often lets Arteezy, the position 1 carry player, lead the team. He will follow behind, similar to a support, just to let Arteezy dominate. This is Sumail letting go of his arrogant self and understanding that, hey, perhaps a partner, a teammate can also help and give us success, not just as an individual for me, but as a team. Based on the current transformation of Sumail, you can see that Team Evil Geniuses are headed towards a more positive direction. The trend of their results of majors to TI results is going upwards. Let me reiterate something. They're just doing better in tournaments based on the attitude, based on the psychoanalytical changes that Sumail has made to himself. It's helping or impacting the team in a positive way. This is directly depicted or demonstrated by the results of Evil Geniuses at TI8, where they came in 3rd place. And finally, they perhaps even broke the Arteezy curse of always placing in 3rd by performing very well at MDL Macau of 2019, coming in 2nd. Nevertheless, as you can tell, Team Evil Geniuses are rising. Their trend is positive. Their results are showing. So this means that Sumail is learning to adjust. He's learning that, yeah, arrogance is good, but not too much. He's learning to create a balance. Now let's go to the NBA. Stephen Curry. In fact, Stephen Curry has pulled way far ahead. You see, he knew he had become an arrogant piece of blank. And because he knew that, he had to humble himself. He let another star player join his team, pretty much take it over. And then he would become a champion yet again. Back-to-back champion, in fact. So Stephen Curry is now with the Golden State Warriors. They just won 2 years in a row and they're about to win another year. So in conclusion, we can see that just like the way Stephen Curry has humbled himself, has a lesser ego now, and now currently is a champion, well, Sumail has to just do the same. Perhaps letting go of his ego, letting Arteezy take a more dominant role, and he can guide or support the team in a way, still playing, very flashy but good, it can also ultimately help the team. We can look at it a little bit more from a different angle. You see, that innocent self, he can't go back to that self as a 15-year-old, but he can also go back to the one afterwards, the one that he created, the one that fame created, that arrogant, that cocky brat. He has to realize that in order to become a better person, a better Dota player, you have to take both that innocent 15-year-old, take that arrogant 17, 18-year-old, the one that won TI champion, and now you have to combine the two. Play the best role you can play to help your team survive and become champions. That's what Sumail has to do. So based on the comparison and based on the success that Stephen Curry has after his downfall, or after he realized how much of an arrogant jerk he had become, he has changed, he had adjusted, right? Well, Sumail is currently doing that. He has learned to adjust and learn to take a step back. Let Arteezy shine. And perhaps this will continue to let Evil Geniuses as a team have more success. You never know. They may even win an international championship very soon. This is the story of Sumail and Stephen Curry. If you guys like these kind of analytical stories, make sure you hit that red subscribe button and hit the bell notification as well. Until next time, this is Chrysalis and I'm out.